Brave New World is a dystopian novel that Aldous Huxley wrote in 1932. Aldous Huxley starts this novel showing the reader that citizens are sorted like in embarrassed by like a certain class. So first of all, they are like put in incubators and they are like reproduce like scientific material. These classes they like classify these embryos that are the alphas, betas, gammas, deltas, and epsilons. Alphas and betas are like the most intelligent, the most intelligent ones, because they are like subdivided in so many people. Then they advance like showing in a hatchery center, like how they reproduce all these embryos and how is like this reproduction system. Then, being more specific in the chapters, in chapter 3, the director leads the students to a garden where hundreds of children are naked and playing like around. And one of the children is like uncomfortable because of their like erotic games that they are playing. And because of that, the director sent him to the psychology because in that days um, the children are supposed like to play with that, like it's supposed to be normal. At the same time that the ring bells when the scale is over, the is Mustafa Mond, like a big an important person in the hatchery, arrives to like the group of students that they are like introducing to this hatchery. It appears to be that Mustafa is the resident controller for Western Europe's, so it's like one of the 10th more like powerful people because it has the power of only of a complete hatchery. Um, this man is one of the ones that had like the power because the one the in the world state, that is the name like of this dystopian society, only does these 10 persons are like able to read. They are able like to think by themselves. The other ones are like reproduced and like established to do some certain activities and no more. And then they appear like two or three like main characters also, that are Henry, Lenina, and Bernard. Henry is like at first the one that is in charge of introducing these children, these students to the hatchery, and then is Lenina like one lady also working in this hatchery. That's this like the most important things about chapter 3. And like it finishes like a Bernard being they say that Bernard is like an alpha plus hypnopedia specialist, so he's like very important by himself. And Lenina is like a worker, but Bernard like invited her to like to do something. Then in chapter 4 we have that Bernard reacts with embarrassment after Lenina like accepts his invitation in front of the other workers because he's like against this of publishing or discussing their sexual life in public, but Lenina is like she actually that doesn't care. Then Lena was also like in a date on with Henry because this in this dystopian society they like uh, this idea that we have of a like boyfriend and girlfriend is like it didn't is doesn't is the same thing because they are like very promiscuous with each other. So Bernard would visit a friend like that it's Helmholtz. It's like another important man because he has like some power, but he shares something with Bernard that is like they want to think by themselves. They want to be more than the world state same thing to do, because they think by themselves and they want to be more. They want to be more. In chapter 5, Lenina goes. Yes, Lenina goes. They are like finishing this date with Henry, and here like introduce this Soma, because this is they establish the scientific state that this is like the cure of all the old people. So they go to an obstacle golf, and then they take like these shots of Soma, and they like the consequences that this had is that they start like being kind of drunk. Then they like jump in story, and they show Bernard that is like that he take part in a thing that is solidarity service, and this is like something very weird, because it's how Bernard takes some tablets in some ice cream, and then they all end in a sex orgy that leaves him like very isolated, because he doesn't actually like that, like all the other people in the world stage. Then chapter 6, Bernard accepts an invitation to go to a wrestling match, and Bernard like is against this thing of drinking all the time this same soma doses, but Alina like convinces him, and they end up like having sex in the first date, which is something like that Bernard is against, but he although he do it. Then Bernard like apologizes with her, because he thinks that like very childish behavior. And then Bernard wants to ask to the director if he can go to the reservation, and here we notice that meanwhile he asked to the director to go to the reservation, he like share things like to his boss, because the director is like everyone's boss. So he will notice that in this society it isn't common to express like feelings or thinkings, because it's like all the things are like systematic, they don't think by themselves, so like sharing things like very weird. So the director like tell him that if he like continues behaving like that, he will send him up to another place, actually to Iceland, if I'm not wrong. And meanwhile he goes with Lena to the reservation, he calls his friend Helmholtz, and he the bad notice that the director is actually planning to send him to Iceland. So it's like no more like an thrill. Then we have in chapter 7 that Elena is watching like these Indians that are in the reservation. This is very like astonished. She becomes very astonished because of the behavior of everyone in this city. And then appears John, a youth boy that speaks perfect English, which is like very weird, because the Indians aren't supposed to speak English. So then like John tells Nina and Bernard like his story and his mother's story, and in summary like this woman was a world state citizen, but she became pregnant because their pills, their contraceptives weren't doing their job. So she became pregnant, and she go to the reservation to get an abortion, but when she didn't achieve that, she stayed in the reservation, and and she adapts to the Indian, and John is her child. The name of this woman is Linda, and it's supposed that the director, Bernard's boss, is the father of this young boy that his name is John. Then John tells that Bernard that he listens like very too much stories about this world state, and he also tell to him that he's very isolated because his mother is like very concentrated in his lover that is an Indian, and he actually wants to go to the world state but he can't, and the people in this Indian society doesn't like recognize him or like wants him to be like in there. So at the end, Bernard promises that he will take Linda and John to the world state. I don't know exactly why, but I think that it's because he wants to like threat his boss, because it's supposed that the director is John's father. So in consequence, Bernard isn't going to Ireland. So I think that that's why he wants to. Then we have that the John is completely like astonished because he only like listens stories about this world state, and he reads a lot. He loves to read because it's like the only thing that understands, or like it's the only thing that it can submerge all these like isolation. So he's like a very like a smart boy compared to the world state citizens and to the Indians. And I think that's all. That's like a kind of summary of the important things that happen along chapter 3 to 8. I'm going to convince my sister of reading it.
Pues primero que todo sí leería el libro, ya que no está tan alejado de nuestra realidad, ya que hoy en día los que nos gobiernan solo buscan pues lo que en esta misma sociedad que plantean tienen, que son seres no pensantes que la verdad actúan como máquinas. Además me parece una buena idea que comparen libros con películas o series, y además pues últimamente me di cuenta que van a sacar una película o serie acerca de este libro, entonces hay más razones para leerlo.